a nice build for you today. All around Liar's Handshake. 1-2 punch shotguns, trench barrel shotguns, Legend of Acreus, massive damage, loads of chain lightning, loads of jolt, loads of blinding effects, and we're going to be able to stun lock mages like so and bosses with the Liar's Handshake. This build has really prompted me to actually start playing Gambit, can you believe it? I used to love Gambit back in the day, and this build has got me right back into it. Stay tuned, I'm going to show you how this build is working, how to get some absolutely huge damage and loads of jolt and blinding effects going on. So this is now the build, all based around Liar's Handshake. What it does, using your arc melee ability or being hit by a melee attack, will allow you to follow up with an extremely powerful counter punch that will heal you. It's a 200% extra damage increase when you get that cross counter going. It comes up on the bottom left. I've also got Well of Ions. When I pick up an arc elemental well, I'm going to get a 30% damage buff to my melee. Also, the fragments I'm running, flow state, defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. While you're amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly, you are more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. And I'm also running, on the other aspect, is Lethal Current. After dodging, your next melee attack has an increased lunge range, jolts a target, and creates a damaging aftershock. Damaging a jolted target with a melee attack also blinds them. So when they're jolted, the target is charged with Instructive Arc Light as they take additional damage while jolted they chain lightning to nearby allies. So if you do that against a major and there's a couple of enemies near him, the chain lightning is going to spread to them little minor enemies. And also if you're killing like minor enemies, you're going to end up killing more than one of them. You're going to kill like 3 or 4 of them because of the chain lightning, sometimes even more than that. So being able to jolt is really strong and it blinds. Combination blow, what that does, it's like a 60% buff per stack, so times 1 60%, and it goes all the way up to times 3 to 180% of a maximum damage buff. Really nice with a Liar's Handshake. Gambler's Dodge is the one you want to be running because that recharges your melee. As long as you're near an enemy, you get an instant one back, which really works nice with the 2 aspects. I've got Spark of Beacons. While you are amplified, your arc special weapons create a blinding effect when you get a final blow, so it's going to blind the enemy and blind anything near it. If you use arc weapons like Xenoclass, Deadweight, Legend of Acreus, something like that, specifically a shotgun for this build. I'm also running Spark of Beacons. Spark of Resistance. While you are surrounded by combatants, you have more resistance to incoming damage, so you want to be up close. This is a really nice fragment. Spark of Shock, your arc grenades also jolt target, so we're going to jolt the target with our grenade, and also our melee, as we've already talked about. Spark of Magnitude, your lingering arc grenades, lightning grenade, pulse and storm grenade have an extended duration. You can have a play about with that last one if you want, put something different on. I quite like it because it makes your grenades do loads of damage on top of that as well. So I've got some more clips to show you now of everything working together. So now that's all that done, you can sort of see everything working together now, hopefully. You've got the arc elemental wells there, we've got the chain lightning going on, we've got the jolting, we've got the blinding effect going on, killing multiple enemies at a time. This is why I like this build so much, because not is it only good for destroying mages and bosses like that, you're going to also blind and chain effect everything like that also with the jolting and the fragments and the aspects that I've got on. If you run them, you're going to be absolutely sorted with this build. Every sort of thing sort of covered with it, in my opinion. You've got loads of extra damage with the Liar's Handshake, and we've got all that chaining and the jolting going on with it on top of that. So again, really good for just destroying things, tanky enemies, and on top of that we've got the add clearing capabilities of the chaining and the jolting going on as well, and all the blinding effects from the arc final blows. Absolutely love this build. Like I've said, I've really been hammering Gambit these last few days. I've done all sorts of activities with it. Gambit, Master Wellspring, the master version of the new catch thingamabob, whatever it's called, the new, and I don't think I died. You're quite resilient as well. I don't think I died in any of them. To be honest, you're really tanky with this build as well, with the resilience changes. And then again, like this build for Gambit is absolutely brilliant for Gambit. I've had 8 games of Gambit today, and I didn't even lose a game with this build. Didn't lose one single game. Like, really strong. Get loads of motes, kill loads of enemies like easily. Just some more clips now of all the chaining going on that you can do, and all the jolting, the blinding explosions. It's got literally everything in this build. And then the other thing that I want to sort of touch on as well, on top of everything that we've got going on, the new Hunter super as well, which I'll show you some clips of that working as well in like a last minute situation. The new Hunter super can really sort of add to that, because what it does is it will put like a chain, like a staff into the ground, and it does damage over time. You can do that, and at the same time you can put this build into action with it while you're getting all the damage from the chain lightning. You can absolutely destroy bosses with it, like while the arc staff's going at the same time. But this is just some Master Wellspring gameplay. You won't think I was in a master in them clips there, but I am. Just destroying things. I mean, look at this overload here. My friend Bongo stuns it, and then it's just good night for him. A couple of shots and a melee and he's gone. He's out with there. And again, this is the sort of situations where it's really good, fast killing these primevals. I've got my super there, which I touched on. Really strong. I didn't need to get up close, I did a little bit, but you can do that while your super is working at the same time. So there you go, that's everything. I'm going to show you the mods that I'm running now and all my armor pieces. Stay tuned for the full build. Thanks for watching. So this is now the full build, but before I get into it, I just want to sort of touch on again something like Xenoclast with 1-2 punch, or an Acreus with trench barrel. Them 2 perks work the best with this build. The other one that is also S tier is Golden Tricorn. I did a video on that, and that's just another option. So this is now the full setup, but before I go into it, I'll just say I will leave a dim link in the video description, so you don't have to listen to me rambling on, but I do have things set up a certain way. You don't want to watch that, that is totally cool. But here we go, melee well maker, powered melee, combat and final blow is going to spawn me an elemental well, which matches my subclass type. I'm getting loads of melee kills, so arc elemental wells everywhere. I'm also running Well of Ions, which I've touched on, which picking up the arc elemental well is going to give me a 30% melee increase as well, which does work with everything else stated. So it's really nice little combo. I also run elemental ordnance to create elemental wells via my grenade, so we're going to have lots of elemental wells flying about. The other one that I like to run on my chest piece is a Font of Might, because not only are we going to get loads of damage from our melee and the super and everything, we're going to get extra damage on our arc weapons, 25% for an extra 10 seconds. So it's another way of like playing, if you like, as well as the melee. You can also go on a bit of a rampage with your guns if you want. Obviously with something like trench barrel, that's going to work extremely nicely, or any of your arc shotguns, or any arc weapon that you choose to run. The other one I like to run is Well of Striking, because sometimes in situations you might not get your melee back, you might not dodge near an enemy by accident, and just collecting one of these gives you about 10% of your melee back. And because I create so many, it's really nice. And then Hands On is the one that makes this sort of this build like really sort of finalised. It gives you loads of super energy, Hands On, because we're getting loads of melee kills on the build. So it's really nicely, it just sort of polishes it off really nicely. And just before I go, I'll show you my appearance customization, because I get a few comments on what I'm wearing. It's the new set from the store, and it's all default shaders apart from Valkyrie Zero, which I've got on my Liar's Handshake. Anyways, I hope that you found this vid and build useful, and have a great day.